I just taught my class today to my Influence Army membership, and today's class was called my 5-star review method, my proven two-pronged approach that is designed to consistently boost your podcast credibility, enhance your authority, ensure confidence during outreach when you're trying to invite yourself onto shows, and bonus, it helps you grow your audience. And you can apply this to other publishing platforms, of course. So there's 2 prongs to that. So there's was the master framework that I taught. Then there's prong 1, my text/DM framework for requesting 5-star reviews that almost guarantees a response. So you consistently are getting 5-star and written reviews, new subscribers, and new listeners. And then prong 2, my grab reviews on the fly script, my super simple and fun 8-point script, so you can capture more 5-star reviews than you know what to do with, increase your show followers, and build your audience, all while just walking around. Oh my gosh. And then there was a couple of other little frameworks within those frameworks. It was quite a day of teaching frameworks. And I say all that because not but 6 months, 8 months ago, my brain had seized up. And I was like, how am I going to make frameworks and teach frameworks to people? That's what I'm going to talk about on this episode. Listen in.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end, the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Misha Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
It's so crazy. You know, we're all of us online entrepreneurs, us heart-centered coaches, consultants, authors, speakers, experts. You know, as we're trying to grow our businesses online, we're trying to increase our impact, our authority, our income. Part of what we need to do is have frameworks that we can teach. And those are effectively become our products, right? And our stories around those frameworks, how we learned and earned those frameworks, the success stories we have around those frameworks, how they've worked for us, how they've worked for other people. And then, you know, there's the high level strategy of the frameworks that we're teaching. And then there's the tactics of the framework, so the nitty gritty of the framework. And oh my gosh, for a few years though, a couple of years, my brain was like, what frameworks? What do I have to teach? Like, what are you talking about, frameworks? This doesn't make any sense to me, which is crazy because I've been in recovery since I was 17 years old, straight line recovery. And so, you know, there's 12-step programs, and the 12-step programs, they're a framework. So I always had this in the back of my head, like, wait, I get what a framework is, and I see how they work. And, you know, the recovery frameworks are so powerful because you have, you know, the stories of people who recover from whatever they're trying to recover from: gambling, sex, drugs and alcohol, food, shopping, stealing. I mean, there is freaking 12-step programs for everything. What else? You know, pills, benzos, marijuana, cocaine, Narcotics Anonymous, anonymous this, anonymous that. I mean, and then you have all the sort of next layer support groups to help you, you know, recover from grief and all these sorts of things. And all of them have, they've been stepified. And, another way to say a framework is a system, or a process, or, there's all these different ways to say it. I was very proud of my 5-star review method, my proven two-pronged approach. How about that? That's pretty sweet. But anyway, I've been in this coaching world, paying for coaches, trying to learn how to build an online business. And, a consistent theme with coaches, or with a lot of these programs, is they're teaching us via framework. And then the particular coaching group I'm in, Russell Brunson's, he's like, you got to come up with your own frameworks. Like, that's how you teach people. And man, like I said, for the first couple years, when I was teaching, when I was focused on healing modalities, so I had the tools for a Good Life Summit, and I was bringing people into this virtual summit and getting lead lists and all this kind of stuff, and building my audience. And I was like, dang, what can I teach them? And I was way into meditation. I'm still way into meditation, and I could have built a framework around that, but again, my brain was seizing up. And let me say this quick too. I'm actually in my influence army, in my community, in my family, my membership. The next class I'm going to teach is how to create frameworks, and I've created a basic framework that anybody can use. Any coach, any course creator, fledgling coach, fledgling course creator, consultant, anything like that. There's so many of us out there who, can help people and are helping people, but we haven't really put the steps to it and put it into a framework. So we can say, hey, Mr. Customer, Mr. Client, Mr. Audience who's listening, I've got this framework. You apply this framework. Let me take you through this framework, and you can get X results, right? That's really what we're trying to offer people. And I have broken through that struggle, the coming up with the framework struggle. Like I said, I just taught class today, and I taught my two-pronged approach, and prong 1 was a framework, prong 2 was a framework, and then within those prongs, there was more frameworks. So I literally created and taught five frameworks today. And by the way, those frameworks took my reviews on my podcast from 15 5-star reviews and a few year-old written reviews to now I've got 54, as I record this, 54 5-star reviews and a good, 20 comments, written reviews. And that's over the last 3 or 4 months. So that's pretty awesome. And it's also catapulted me up the listen score notes. So now I've got a listen score of 30 something, maybe it's 33 or something like that, which is pretty good. And it puts me in the top 5% of podcasts. But that's what I taught today. And I'm going to make that course available at some point, that class. It's going to be part of, it's going to be a class I'm going to make available to people. But anyway, the sticking point is I see a lot of coaches, consultants, experts that they're like, well, it's different for every person. I don't have a specific framework. It depends on the client. And so what I've created is a 5-step framework that you can wrap what you do inside of, and it still gives the client the flexibility, right? Because that's what I think so many experts, coaches, consultants, etc. are worried about, is being stuck in this box and not having the flexibility to help their clients. So I created a 5-step framework that you can plug your process into. You take a minute and you go, oh, what do I do? How do I help somebody? And I'll put them into this framework. And now you've got a framework that you can sell. Now when you go on podcasts, you can talk about your process. You can talk about your framework. You can name that framework, and you can leverage it and sell it, and get paid more, because more people will go, oh, I see what you do, and I see how you can help me, and I see you've put a name to it and a process to it that you can tell stories around, right? So it's a 5-step framework that you get to wrap your process into, and then you get to tell your success stories around it, around where people start at the beginning of the framework, your process, and how they now are transformed on the other side of it. And then you can tell stories around each step too, right? Because there's 5 steps. So super exciting. I've floated it by a few of my students, and they are loving it, because I've been telling my students for a few months now, we got to be thinking in frameworks. We've got to be thinking in frameworks. The framework class is coming. Get ready. And in the meantime, I did a little teaser framework class that they could watch and get started. But it's been super powerful. Catherine today was like, yeah, I'm going on shows, and it's given me a pointed direction or specificity, or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if clarity is the right word. Give them a focus point to talk about. But anyway, it's interesting how I got to this point. So I am going to talk about that on episode number 2. So let's call this episode number 1, and listen in for episode 2, where I tell you about my breakthrough to creating frameworks and how it's now easy and fun. So that'll be episode number 2. Listen in. Have a good day, and listen in tomorrow for episode 2.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.